TPCSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
Good afternoon. I guess it's noon, right? So we can say afternoon. This is In the Batter's Box. My name is Scott Webb. Some people call me Beam 'em Up Scotty. Anyway, that being said, welcome in. It is Sunday. It is a tricky baseball day, and looking at all the slate today and the numbers and where the lines are and who's pitching and what's going on. It's a tricky minefield today. So we'll get into that. Wanted to kind of talk a little bit about yesterday. We didn't do as good yesterday as we did on Friday. Yesterday it was a little bit rough. I mean, we hit a couple of plays yesterday, but didn't knock them all down. We did a big day on Friday, not quite a big a day yesterday. So we're going to try to remedy that a little bit today, and we're going to try to attack it in a certain fashion. But as we got people getting ready to jump on here, and we're starting to build our viewership, I wanted to talk about one thing, and this can be a sports gambling thing, or it could be a life thing. I oftentimes, I don't know everything, and you always continue to learn, and you always continue to try to take advice, and you try to pick out what's important and what you think you should be able to incorporate into becoming better at whatever it is you do. So, hey, good morning, Daniel. How you doing? And one of the things that I was listening to a podcast and I thought was very good advice. And the advice was that if you want to get better and you want to do things in a way, whether it's sports gambling or you want to do better in your career, or you want to do better at whatever it is you do, you need to think of things in terms of a small quorum of experts. So what does that mean? Well, Twitter is a great place because Twitter allows you to have access to 1,000 people or more. There's, almost 10,000 people follow me on Twitter. But the reality is that you're not going to take every one of those people's advice, and you're not going to, the data and the intake of volume of information, it becomes overwhelming when you have too much. So what you want to do is you want to really fine tune that down. Some of it, you can put into a different funnel over here to your left, and you got 10,000 people that follow you, and okay, I'm going to have 1,000 people that I get information from on certain things. If you're following Major League Baseball, you might want to follow, two guys or beat reporters for every team. Well, there's 60 people. And then all of a sudden you do that for football. And then all of a sudden you do that for basketball. Or you do that for whatever. And then you got all this information that comes into you. And then you can do that for other types of things too. But your small quorum is not that. That's still having hundreds of people where you're getting all this advice and all this information from. So a small quorum, and think of it in terms of what you believe to be experts. and what you think are the best in the field, and really go into it and really vet it out as best you can. If they don't make the cut, get rid of them and put somebody else in there. Give them a try. Where you have 10 or less, maybe you have 5 of these experts. Because the reality is if you want to get good at your craft and you want to get good at what it is you do, and sports gambling is the same kind of concept, you want to have the absolute best knowledgeable people giving you the best knowledgeable information, period. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. And I thought that was great advice, because a lot of people want to know, well, what can I do to get better at gambling, and what can I get better at? And the one of the things that comes up a lot is we can sit here as people that do this and bring in the money and gamble and do this kind of stuff, and we can share things that have been good for us and things that have worked for me or things that I do. But the reality is you don't know how many people send you text messages or send you DMs or emails or whatever that say, oh, that's all great and all that's all stuff good. Just send me the pics. That's they just send me the pics. Well, there's 2 things, right? So I like to say it this way. If you're not in it for yourself to get better and to do these kind of things, and you just want picks, pay for them. Pay for them and pay for them and pay for them. And pay for whoever it is you want to get them from, because they're doing the work for you. Pay that person to do that work for you. Because that's the way it works, right? You can't just sit here and go, well, I want to learn and I want to do this and I want to grow and I want to get good at this, but just give me the picks because I don't care. I'm not going to put in the work. This is a lot. People think it's you just take soft drinks and alcoholic beverages and go sit at the pool and watch your bets come in. That's not the way this works. You've got time and you spend hours and hours every day doing these things, and you have to try to find time to do the pool, or you have to try to find time just to run to the grocery store or make dinner or do this or do that, because you're always on call, you're always on notice, you're always looking for that bell to ring of a notification that you got. Says, oh man, this line just moved, or this person just got hurt, or this just happened. I got to go make a bet. That's the way it works. So you're always busy, you're always active, you're always doing different things. But you've got to make sure that the commitment level is there, and that the volume of what you're trying to do is there. So as we kind of divulge and get into some more of this other stuff, I got other things to talk about when it comes to gambling and trying to help you and trying to get better. But let's talk about today's games. That way we can kind of get out of that. But food for thought, no matter what business you're in, no matter what you're doing or where you're at, find yourself a quorum of experts, vet it out real hard, make the cut real hard to get into for whatever it is you want, and just put those 4 or 5 or 6, 7, whatever number of people it is that you got, and that's who you take your advice from. That's where you get your information from, and that's how you're gonna grow. So that's number 1. So sports betting today, baseball, let's talk about it from a different perspective a little bit. So my numbers today didn't really throw out a lot of opportunities. So that's normal. And what I mean by normal is Friday, these were the new matchups. So Washington, St. Louis, and Philadelphia, Atlanta, all these teams started playing on Thursday or Friday. So now the sportsbook has had that Thursday, that Friday, that Saturday, and now today is the last day really that they made. There might be a couple games carry over tomorrow, I think. But the reality is these are going to be the best numbers that they come up with, because they've played and they kind of see how they bounce off of each other and sort of what the numbers look like. So I don't have a lot of Webby odds variance today. I've got a couple of spots, and And when I started looking at a couple of spots, one of them is Kansas City Royals. I have them as a bigger favorite than they are today, but I'm not going to pay minus 154. I'm not going to get involved in that. Kansas City's not hitting. So that becomes a valued play, but at the same time that's a valued play, I'm not going to get involved in that one. And then a bigger one down here, and we're going to talk about this one, and this will be let's make this the first one of the show today, because it's as far as my numbers go, this is the biggest variance that I have, but it's also the most difficult team I think to bet on. So this is the Seattle Mariners, and they are. Hey Jay, how you doing, brother? Thank you, Jay Barry. That was great about Sunday pricing. I appreciate that. So when you're thinking about looking at this game, this is the Seattle Mariners and the Toronto Blue Jays. The number is minus 145 for Seattle. My number is actually closer to 200 in this game. And let's talk about kind of how you get there. So you first of all have to have some kind of a power ranking on these teams and sort of where they are. So for Seattle, I have them at 85 wins, 524 winning percentage. And then I have Toronto at 76 wins, 470 winning percentage. So that's a fairly significant difference. That's what, 9 games better for Seattle. So that's kind of a bigger number. Plus they're at home. So they should be a favorite, and theoretically a relatively large favorite. So it gets bigger because there's a big variance in these two pitchers. So it's kind of a hard thing to look at, because if you just look at Berrios, who's pitching for Toronto today, and you go, well, let's look at him for a second and go, well, I don't understand, because Berrios has made 18 starts, and he's won. The team's won 12 of them, so he's 12-6 in his starts. So he's got to be halfway decent. Well, the truth is he's been getting a lot of run support. He hasn't won those games. He's kept his team in the game, but the offense in those games has been good for him. So he's actually a 117 SOPS plus today. So he's 17% worse than an average pitcher over the last 28 days. And he's facing a pitcher who's the best in the game today. And Kirby's a 45 SOPS plus. So that means he's 55% better than an average pitcher. So that's a significant advantage. And when you start to look at how a line gets adjusted, you have to adjust it for the strength of the pitcher. So you have a below average pitcher in Berrios, who's been fortunate to get wins, and then you have a much above average pitcher who has been less fortunate because he's 9-9 in those starts. So then that creates line variance, and line variance then looks at opportunity. So we have opportunity. So I look at it this way. If there's a number that's minus 150 or less, and I have a pretty good value on the play, I'm interested. So I'm interested. Seattle is minus 145. My number says it should be closer to minus 200. And that's going to give me I think the number in this case was, where's my, there it is. It gives me a 14% edge. I don't always get 14% edges, especially on a Sunday. And so I like that. So that means it's one of my Webby odds variance plays that would be a very strong play. So if we look at it a little further, I said earlier that that the Seattle Mariners are a very difficult team to bet on, and the reason for that is not because of their pitching. Their pitching keeps them in the games altogether. It's their offense. They strike out 32% of the time. So theoretically, that means 1 out every inning is going to be a strikeout. And a lot of times it's back-to-back, or it's this or that, or they get a guy on second and third and then strike out, and then they don't score runs. And it's just pathetic to watch their offense. But you're gonna have to grit it here and kind of grit your teeth and go, shit. I don't want to bet these teams, but at the same time, you have then the opportunity that goes to take advantage of the Toronto Blue Jays offense, because currently there's 30 teams in Major League Baseball. That's never changed for a little while, for several years. They rank 30th, so that's last. In the last 7 days, they're the worst offense going, and they're going to face this pitcher today that's really, really dynamite. So I think that we have an edge here that we can exploit. That the Toronto Blue Jays are scoring 2.9 runs a game. If you're under 3 runs a game, that's not very good. And then when you look at the starting pitchers and go back to Barrios again, one of the things that we looked at are metrics, right? I call them metrics, and they're sabermetrics. You're looking at the FIP number, the xFIP number, the predicted measure of FIP, and then you're looking at a Sierra number. And in his case, he is the second worst pitcher on the board today, second worst. And he's going to be facing a guy who he's like the second or third best in Kirby. So I like the variance that we have that's not being charted. We're getting Seattle on a sale price because of their woeful offense. But the reality becomes is Barrios doesn't walk guys, so the strikeout rate might actually be a little bit lower than what is normal for Seattle. The second thing is, when he makes mistakes, he gives up home runs. He has the second highest home run rate today of all of them, 2.51 per 9 innings. So he's giving up a lot of home runs. And then the other part of it that I thought was pretty good is that his hard hit rate and his mistake rate are in the worst 25% of baseball. So this is an opportunity then for Seattle to go, that's a pretty good spot here. I get it. It's minus 145. If you wait, the game starts at, 4 o'clock. It wouldn't surprise me to see this get down to, say, 140, 135, because people don't like to bet on Seattle. They make fun of Seattle all the time, and I get it. I get all of that. But there's value here. So I think the first play of our day today should be the Seattle Mariners at minus 145. And I think there's value. I think, there's 14% EV positive there. So why not play that play? I think that's a good one. So I wanted to talk a little bit about how we have been looking to attack the worst pitcher on the board. Well, we just looked at one of them. He's not the worst pitcher on the board today. It's kind of a surprising name that he was the worst pitcher on the board, because if I go back to the situational chart here, we have 163. That's the SOPS plus. So that means he's 63% worse than an average pitcher. And that's over the last 28 days, and that's what his current performance is. So that's what we look at. And what's been interesting is this has kind of been going on here for several weeks now, or several starts, let's just say that, for a couple of pitchers. And these pitchers haven't been done well, like Garrett Cole, right? We don't know what we're going to get from Garrett Cole, and he wasn't that great the other day. He gave up 4 runs. They won the game, but, he gave up 4 runs in 5 innings. Well, that's not good. So in this game that we're going to talk about, this is the night game. This is the Sunday night game. This is Boston and New York Yankees. Luis Gil has been just dynamite up to his last 4 starts or so, last 5 starts. And in those last 5 starts, he's the worst pitcher on the board today. The worst. 163 is his SOPS plus. So now you got to understand that's not just one start and then he's going to rebound. We tried that. It didn't work. He didn't bounce back. So how do you know whether they're going to bounce back or not? Well, you want to switch over to looking at the WPA, win percent added. Is he making mistakes with his pitches? And he is a minus 0.67. That's the worst one on the board today. The worst. He is 25% in the worst category of all major league pitchers. So that's not good. So his performance over his last 4 or 5 starts are showing that he is not making an adjustment to his error rates. So if he's also, we talked about Barrios as having a high hard hit rate. Luis Gil, 43.9, is the hardest. It's the hardest hit rate of every pitcher today. So that's not necessarily the main reason you want to make a bet, but you got to understand what happens. A hard hit ball goes through the infield for a base hit. A slower hit ball, a fielder might have a chance to go get it and throw a guy out. So the harder a ball gets hit, the faster it gets through the infield, creates more hits. Second thing is that it's more damaging blows because, hard hit balls are balls that go for doubles, triples, and home runs. His home run rate is 1.77, so that's in the top 25% of being bad. His walk rate is the worst on the board, 6.26. He can't find the strike zone. So then you go, well, can Boston's offense take advantage of it? Well, we've seen what Boston's offense can do. They're doing pretty well. I mean, they're not top notch right this minute, but the offense ranks 15th in isolated power. They're -2 on weighted runs created plus, which means they're average. So they're an average offense that can certainly take advantage of a below average pitcher. So I like the idea here that we should be beating up Luis Gil. Over his last 3 starts, game score 37, 29, and 0. That 0 is terrible. But 29 and 37, that's not any good either. So his average game score for his last 3 starts is 22. His average for his last 7 is a 46. His for the year is now 55. So he's been a better starter than what he's showing now. But this is why you look at things in segments, because then you can capitalize on these variances that happen throughout a season. There's pitchers that have these problems all the time. So we can capitalize on them and be aggressive against them. That's the other thing that popped up in that podcast I was talking about that I was listening to. One of the things is they said, look, if you really want to be good at gambling, then you are going to have to start learning how to become more risk oriented. You're never going to make it at -110 bets. The volume of bets is too high for you to maintain a high risk averseness. So in other words, at -110, your return on investment is probably in the neighborhood of 2%. So if you're going to get 2% return on investment at that level, think about it. How much money and how much volume of bets do you have? How many $50 bets do you have to make any money at 2% return on investment, right? I mean, if you make $1 off $50 and you do that over and over and over and over again, it's you're never going to get there. So the key point was, look, you're never going to get there at that. So you may have to figure out certain other things to help you, or you may have to start betting a little bigger. Now the reality becomes don't ever overbet to a point in which don't ever overbet your bankroll, but at the same time you're going to have to start getting more comfortable with, and it's always going to feel terrible, but get more comfortable with the idea of you're going to have to reload your bankroll at some point in time. The reality is, the guy was talking and I full on board with it, was, if you talk to how guys make it and guys that make it big and they have large bankrolls, it's because they've overbet and overbet, Yes, they've had to put some stuff in. They bet parlays. They did whatever they had to do, but they hit a big one. And that big one turned into $100,000, and that $100,000 is how they've got their bankroll. Now they can comfortably bet however they want to bet. So if you're out here betting and you're betting $50, $25, $30 a game, and your return on investment is 2%, guys, look, you're never going to get to where you've got all of this in there. So you're going to have to start either betting larger amounts or betting higher risk plays to try to turn that $25 bet into a $30,000 bet or something like that in terms of return, because that's how this game works. That's how it's set up. Anyway, so got sidetracked for a second. So as you're doing this, we want to attack Luis Gil and go get him. This is, hey, go get him. You got Cutter Crawford on the other side. Cutter Crawford's off a good start, so I don't expect him to be Superman tonight, but I expect him to throw pretty well. He's got good stuff. He's handled the Yankees. He's pitched against them already through a game score 54 against them. His strikeout rate's real high. Yankees like to strike out. So as long as he handles Ben Rice, right? Ben Rice hit 3 home runs yesterday for the Yankees. So, but what I liked about his numbers are his whip number is 0.90. Yankees are going to have to work to get on base, and they don't work to get on base. The only one that works at it is Soto, and he walks. They moved Volpe out of the leadoff spot, so maybe Ben Rice can do a little bit of that to get on base, so that when Judge does come up, maybe they have an opportunity to score some runs, and that's what baseball is today. You've got to get the guy on, and you get to hit the home run. So I like Cutter Crawford. I like Boston tonight. You can get him as an underdog. So I think you should do that. Or the other alternative, if you don't like Cutter Crawford tonight, is to play Boston team total over 3.5, because we're going to do a little bit of this today with some of these other plays, because some of this stuff is a little bit where you don't know what's going to happen, and maybe you don't feel comfortable with Cutter Crawford, or maybe you don't feel good because it's a rivalry game that stuff happens in rivalry games. So you want to bet Boston. Well, you're betting against Luis Gil. So however you want to do it, you do it. If you want to take Boston as an underdog, do that. If you want to take Boston as a team total, do that. It's 3.5. It's minus 135. I think they go over 3.5. They might have that in by the 5th inning. So the reality becomes is either way, you can take it however you want to. Maybe you parlay it and do both. But I would advise that you just do one or the other, and kind of go at it that way. But make a conviction bet. If your normal bet's $25, maybe start betting 50, maybe start betting 60, so that your returns start showing up and they start to matter and make a difference, right? So that's a game where I think that we should go. We talked about Kirby. We talked about Boston. So I got another one that I thought was interesting, because the Braves play the Phillies. And yesterday was the first time the Braves actually beat the Phillies, and was Ranger Suarez. This is a perfect example of the Luis Gil situation, right? Luis Gil, the last 3 or 4 starts, been terrible. Ranger Suarez has been poor, not terrible, but it carried over again yesterday. So these guys are in these dog days of summer. They've made 17, 18 starts. They only make 32. So these guys are starting to have their arms fall off. They need a break. And some of them are not doing as well. And I'm going to tell you that as you're going through these, you want to bet on the side of that to continue, not to flip over and rebound, right? Because we have spots to rebound. So this Atlanta game is a rebound spot for the pitcher for Atlanta. It's Renato Lopez. he has a game score of 59 for the season. 60 is what aces throw, so he's really good. And his last time out was a 37. His last seven's a 56, but he's still striking out 11 guys per 9 innings. His whip rate is 1.2, so that's pretty good. Batting average against is pretty good. He's not making mistakes. That's kind of what I'm looking at here. He's a 0.65 to the good, which is the second best to Kirby on the day. So he's stacking up good pitches. He's making good locations. And he's going to face the Phillies today. The Phillies are without Harper and they're without Schwarber. We've been talking about that all week. And they're also without Real Muto, too. I guess I should mention that. I keep forgetting to say that Real Muto is not there. So when you kind of adjust this out, I think it's set correctly today. I thought that the lines were poor, that there was an overcorrection to the Phillies too far for the last 2 days. Today, I don't think that's the case. I think the number's about right. I think it was like minus 160 or something like that. My number on today's game for Phillies was minus 162 or 164, and I had minus 162 as a number. So it's right where it's supposed to be, in my opinion. So, but when I looked at it and I started breaking out the games, one of the things we want to do is we want to look at the other pitcher, right? Because part of what we're saying is we think Lopez is going to have a bounce back game. He's pitches like an ace. He pitched terrible last time. Game score was 37. So for him to keep the balance to get to that 59 or even close to that 59, that 37 is going to have to be somewhere in a 60 range to get up to, well, maybe in a 70 range, to get to 100. For that 37 plus 70 is 107. So that's like a 58. So if he has a game score 70, we're going to win and we're going to dominate and it's going to be good. So the other pitcher is Mercado. Now, Mercado, I liked him the first day that he pitched. This will be his second start. So pitchers, when they're establishing their baseline, will do that in, say, 3 or 4 starts. They're going to have the high, they're going to have a low, and then they're going to have a middle. And we got to kind of figure out where they were and where they are in that process. So Mercado, his first start, he threw a game score 62. That's probably his high for his 3 or 4 starts that he's going to have. I don't expect him to be a 62 over these next 2 or 3 starts. So we can capitalize on that if we can see it, right? So when you think about it, he's a 62. He's either going to throw a 50, which is an average score, or below. So if he throws an average score or below average, and we have a guy who's going to pitch like an ace on the other side, what's to say that we can't play the Atlanta Braves on the run line instead of having to pay the minus 160? And I think that's what we should do today. I think that we would do better off to play the Atlanta Braves on the run line. And I'm trying to pull my numbers up over here for a second because I have the Phillies scoring 3.5 runs. So that means we need to get at least 5 runs today. If they score 3, we need 5. And can we get 5, especially if this pitcher is having a poor start or an average start? I think they can. So I think that's where you go, and what you're going to find is when you start looking at this kind of stuff, you're going to get plus numbers. You're going to get, I'm going to flip this over to see if I can find it. You're going to get on spreads, and if you take Lopez minus 1.5 today, it's plus 125. And I think it's worth doing because the bullpen for Atlanta has been really good. You don't have to worry about the back end and then having them be chasing you down. The number for the bullpen for Atlanta, by the way, Atlanta's number 2 out of 30 teams in the last 14 days. So I like that play and that look on that play. I don't want to sit there and pay minus 160 when I think that the better option is to get plus money and take a shot at it. So I think that's play number 3. Play number 3 today is going to be Lopez on the run line. And guys, look, a lot of people are going to sit here and go first fives on the run lines. That's what they do. And if you went and changed this to, you changed your number and you went to first 5 instead of the full game on Lopez, your first 5 is minus 115. So if you want to play minus 115 and just win the first 5 innings, I'm okay with that. But I think that the better price is the minus 1.5, because I think they're going to win by more than 2. Because what we're doing. Remember what we're doing. We're taking a pitcher that pitches like an ace. He's going to pitch like an ace against a kid that's not going to pitch well today. So that's what we're betting. We're not betting that the Braves are just going to win the first 5 innings. We think they're going to win this game and they're going to capitalize on that pitcher. So that's what we want to bet. So when we make the bet, we do it on the run line. But if you want to back that off and you want to do it as a first 5 innings and it's minus 115, that's kind of what you do. But that's not what the play is designed for. But if that's where your risk aversion is, then that's kind of what you want to bet. Bet what you think you should. But my opinion is I think that's a good play to look at it on the run line minus 1.5. Great value. The Dodgers are a lot of times great values to cover run lines, especially when guys like Paxton pitch. Because people don't want to bet on Paxton because he's a soft tosser and he's 40 years old and he doesn't hit 90 on the radar gun. So people don't think he's a good pitcher. Well, I don't have the numbers up there from yesterday. I think Paxton's made 14 starts, something like that. I think he's 11-3 in Dodger starts. 11-3. So find a way to bet these games, and the Dodgers offense is the Dodgers offense. So find ways, and that's like this Atlanta game today. I think you find a way, and Mercado's going to pitch, and I'm saying he's not a bad pitcher, but that's not how it works. When you first establish your baseline, you're going to have a great start. He had it, 62. So I think you're going to end up then with a poor start or an average start. Either one. I'll take either one and try to cover the run line here because I think Lopez is going to pitch well. So anyway, that's that play. And then I had one last one today. So make 4 today on the show today. Let me get out of the screen so that I'm back to where if I need a number, I can get it real fast. So the Dodgers are starting a rookie today. His name is Robleski. And he's facing the Milwaukee Brewers. So there's 2 things in play. We don't know what we're going to get out of this rookie pitcher. He's not like a highly touted guy that's coming up that's going to throw, like Paul Skeens does. That's not who we have here. But we have 2 things in play. One, he's left-handed, and that matters. And it matters because the Milwaukee Brewers are the team that they face. And when I pull this up, you'll understand what I'm saying. The Brewers are super strong. Like they're in the top 5 offenses against right-handed pitching, and against left-handed pitching, they actually are minus 6% against an average offense. So they don't hit left-handed pitching very well, and they're only 11-11. They're 500 against left-handed pitching. So that merits pretty good. So think about it this way. If the offense is really good against whatever, right-handed pitching, for example, and they bring up some kid who's a AAA pitcher and he's right-handed, well, they haven't seen him. They haven't seen his stuff. but they're comfortable. That's what they normally do. They hit it. They're top 5 in baseball that way. They don't. The pitcher doesn't have any significant advantage at all. The offense kind of does. Well, in this spot where they're a much less efficient offense against left-handed pitchers, the pitcher actually has another edge. The edge that the pitcher has is these hitters have never seen him. And because they've never seen him, they don't know what the ball does, how it moves, where it goes, what velocities he's at, what the spins look like. So it's going to take an adjustment. And they don't adjust well to left-handed pitching anyway. So I like the idea that this pitcher puts them on edge to a degree, right? So that's number one. Number two in this game is the pitcher for Milwaukee is Dallas Keuchel. Now, 7 years ago, Dallas Keuchel won the Cy Young Award. He's a pitcher. He doesn't break 90. I don't know if he even hits 89 anymore. He's an 88, 89 mile an hour pitcher. He gets crushed if he doesn't put the ball where it goes. And more often than not, he misses his locations and he gets just totally roasted. Well, he's left-handed too. And that matters because the Los Angeles Dodgers are the number one offense against left-handed pitching in all of baseball. They are 31% better than an average offense. 31. That's dramatic difference. That's huge, significant difference compared to other teams on left-handed pitching. They faced, I don't know why, they faced left-handed pitchers 32 times this season. They're 24-8 against left-handed pitchers. They dominate left-handed pitchers. And here we have a battle of probably one of the worst left-handed pitchers you're going to see against the best offense that you can put at him. Oh my goodness. If that doesn't get you going, then I don't know what will. So you got to bet this however you feel comfortable. And I bet this on a team total. So I looked at it and said, I think the Dodgers score lots of runs today. The total is 4.5. It's minus 135. I bet over 135. I think they can score 5 runs off Keuchel in 3 innings, maybe 4 innings. So I think they're going to do well. My only concern is, and maybe you might want to wait until you get a lineup here. My only concern is like Smith, the catcher. He hit 3 home runs 2 nights ago. He hit another home run yesterday. It's a right-handed batter. He should be in the lineup. But, they like to rest guys, and this is a Sunday. So you might want to confirm that the big hitters are hitting. Like they're already missing Muncy. They're already missing Betts. They can't really afford to miss too many guys in this lineup. So I expect Smith to play, but it wouldn't surprise me if he wasn't. That changes things a little bit because now you have Ohtani, who's a lefty, and Freeman, who's a lefty, and you don't have a big right-handed bat in the lineup except Teoscar Hernandez. So you need Smith in this lineup. So anyway, I would say that betting this game is got to kind of have salvations coming out of your mouth going, can I really get to Dallas Keuchel? Can I really bet this at minus 135? Oh my goodness. So I think that's the way to do this game. And I think that's the 4 plays today. So kind of as a recap, we talked about Seattle minus 145 today against Toronto. We hit on betting against the New York Yankees. You can do that one of 2 ways. You can take Boston as a dog if you want them there, or if you kind of don't like that idea, then you play them on the team total. Team total was 3.5, going over that number, and that's minus 135. So either one. We talked about kind of a sneaky fun play, the Atlanta Braves and Lopez on a bounce back today against Mercado, who's not on a bounce back, kind of regression day, and play him on the run line. You get plus money on the run line. So -1.5 for Atlanta today, or you could play them first 5 if you didn't really feel that comfortable that way. You could do that. And then the last one was the Los Angeles Dodgers tonight, this afternoon. Dodgers over 4.5 at -135. Guys, I appreciate everybody coming in on a Sunday. Good luck to everyone today. Follow me on Twitter. I'm going to start putting out some good things, and football's on the way. So there's some things coming up for football. Follow me on Twitter. The handle is Webby20MLB. Go to my website, MLB-daily.com. And a couple of things. I'm trying to help people out, trying to do the best I can to make this a good experience. I want some engagement. I got some today. Daniel said hello. Jay Berry made a great point today about Sunday pricing that we talked about, and how Sunday pricing kind of is different than some of the other ones. But I want this show to also incorporate what you want. So if you want me to address anything, have any questions, or if you want me to address a game maybe that we didn't talk about, I'll do it live right here. We can do that. Whatever I can do to help you. But here's the commitment that I'll make, and I kind of want the same commitment from you, is that I'm going to work hard. I'm do this every day, and I'm going to try to help you be a better, and try to help you to become good at the craft. So I'm going to give you some advice, like the quorum of experts we talked about. There's more things to come when it comes in relation to that kind of stuff. There's more coming. I'm going to probably do a show just on those kind of topics. But the other thing is, I need your help, right? We need to grow this. We need to grow this channel. We're getting a lot of views. I mean, there's a lot of views again today. But I need you to do that like thing, that subscribe thing, that notification thing. And look, I get it. This is not, one of those things where you're watching somebody react to a music video. I get that. But at the same time that I get that, this is a business. And part of doing these things as a business is getting the cooperation and work around and work together. Because if we want this thing to have a sponsor and to really grow and to make this a huge ordeal, then we need to have the followership and we need to have the viewers. So the only way to get them is to link, to like, to subscribe, hit the notification bells, and do all that stuff. That helps me out a lot. The other thing is, if you want to become a client, that helps too. Go to my website. It's $100. I don't charge $8 million for this stuff. It's $100. And in that $100, you get my Webby odds every day. You get not only do you get the Webby odds, but you get the EV Plus tool. You're going to get a weather report. You're going to get the pitching report, the offense report. You get a score predictor. You get all kinds of different things that come down. And when football comes, you get all kinds of football information and different things. So we're getting to a point where, guys, this is a two-way street, but a lot of times it doesn't always feel that way. So when I said before, one of the things that's the most amazing is we can take you to the golden goose to go and say, hey, go mate with the golden goose and you can get all the gold. Well, people don't want that. They just say, hey, give me the picks. That's what they want. So I'm looking for people that want to actually grow with the account, learn, develop, become better. Theoretically, I would love to be one of your quorum of experts people. So as we do all these things, right, let's communicate. Let's make sure that we provide what it is you want from me, what it is I can do to help you, and what kind of content you're looking for. And we'll get along just fine. There won't be any issues. But hey, it's Sunday. It's brunch time. Games are getting ready to start. We got baseball today. And then tomorrow, I don't do a show on Monday because there's like 7 games tomorrow. There's probably not there's less to talk about. So I'll be back on Tuesday, 6:15 in the afternoon, and I will see you then. So until then, good luck. Work on your quorum of experts. Narrow that down. Work hard at it, and listen to what they have to say and take their advice. Have a great day and good luck this weekend.